Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be tackling something, well, it's really complex, but it's so relevant right now. It's all about making sure that AI systems are accurate. Especially, when they use all that external knowledge. It's like, how do we teach computers to not just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk?
Yeah. It's really interesting to see how much we rely on external knowledge now with AI, like especially with language models, right? It's going way beyond just feeding these models with like massive data sets. Now we're giving them access to these live dynamic sources of information.
That's right. It's like a whole new ball game. And that's where we get into this whole idea of our RAG, retrieval augmented generation, right? It's like,
Right.
imagine, what if you could give a language model access to like the entire Library of Congress
Right.
and it could just pull up all this relevant info on the fly? It's crazy,
Yeah.
and it would make the answers so much more, well, grounded, reliable, hopefully.
Yeah. The challenge then becomes, how do we know that information is actually accurate? How do we know the AI is pulling the right stuff and then interpreting it correctly? Because that's a whole other can of worms.
Totally. It's like, how do we make sure the AI isn't just making stuff up, right?
Exactly.
And that's where our sources for this deep dive come in. We've got two really interesting ones. One is like a hardcore research paper. It's super technical. The other one is a white paper, and it focuses specifically on the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm kind of amazed that these two worlds even connect, but I guess we'll see where this takes us.
It's a fascinating contrast, for sure. On the one hand, we've got researchers trying to build this really rigorous framework for evaluating AI accuracy. And then on the other hand, we see how these concepts are being applied in this, like, highly regulated, high-stakes industry. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is no joke, right?
No, not at all. Okay, so let's dive into the research paper first. It's called RAG Check, and it jumps right into this issue of hallucinations. Those moments when AI models, especially the ones that are dealing with both images and text, just start making stuff up. Have you ever encountered that? I mean, it's kind of freaky when it happens.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a major concern, especially with vision language models. They can be really prone to those hallucinations. And what's interesting is that this paper actually breaks down these hallucinations into three main types, which is like helpful for understanding how they happen, I guess.
Oh, three types. Okay, break it down for me. And for everyone listening in, what's the first one?
All right, so the first type is called selection hallucination. Basically, this is when the AI pulls in information that's totally irrelevant to the question it was asked. Like imagine going to the library to find a book on baking, and you come back with the biography of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, not quite what you're looking for. So it's like wrong book, wrong shelf, got it. What's the next type of hallucination?
Okay, the next one is called context generation hallucination. This is where the AI retrieves information that might be relevant, but it misinterprets it. And this often happens when images are involved. So like, imagine the AI is looking at a picture of a cat, but because of some random detail in the background, it decides it's a dog.
Oh, I see. So even if the AI gets the right book, it might still misread or misunderstand what's actually in it. Okay, makes sense. What's the third type? I'm kind of on the edge of my seat here. This is like AI mystery solving.
All right, well, the final type is response generation hallucination. This one's tricky because it's when the AI has the right information and even seems to understand it, but then it gives a response that's just plain wrong. It's like reading a recipe for chocolate chip cookies and then claiming that broccoli is the main ingredient.
Wow. So even with all the right ingredients, the AI can still totally mess up the final dish. That's kind of unsettling when you think about it. It makes you wonder, like, can we ever really trust AI to give us accurate information?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's what the researchers in this paper are really grappling with. And to try to address this, they've proposed this method. It's called RAG Check. Kind of a straightforward name, really.
Yeah, I like the direct approach. So how do they actually do that? What is our gate check?
Well, they use these two scores. The relevancy score, which they shorten to RS, and the correctness score, or CS. Think of them as checks and balances for the AI's thought process, if you will.
Okay, so we've got RS and CS, but what do those scores actually tell us? Like, how do they work in practice?
Okay, so the relevancy score, that checks how well the AI is choosing information that's actually related to the question. It's like, is the AI picking the right book from the library, or are you just grabbing something random?
Got it. So RS is all about making sure the AI is looking in the right place, using the right sources.
Right. And then the correctness score, that assesses if the AI is actually understanding and using that information correctly in its answer.
So it's like RS is about finding the right source, and CS is about making sense of what's in that source. Like, Is the AI actually understanding the recipe, not just grabbing a random cookbook?
Exactly, you got it. And to make it even clearer, the paper gives this really helpful example using an image. Imagine there's a picture of, say, a person holding a glass of something. The AI is asked, "What's in the glass?" And it pulls some information, maybe another image of a similar glass, and says, "It's probably orange juice."
Okay, I'm following so far. So where do the scores come in? How do they apply to this orange juice situation?
All right, so the relevancy score checks if that other image was even a good match. Was it also a person holding a similar glass? If yes, high RS. But then the correctness score digs deeper. Was the liquid in that image actually orange juice? If not, low CS, meaning the AI might be hallucinating.
Wow, so it's like a two-step verification process. First, did you find the right clue? And second, did you understand the clue correctly? I can see how that would be really important for catching those sneaky hallucinations.
Exactly. And what's cool is that these scores aren't just like random guesses. They're actually generated using deep learning models that have been trained specifically to recognize these patterns of relevance and correctness.
Oh, wow. So it's like having this super smart fact checker built right into the AI system. That's really impressive. But I got to ask, this is all very theoretical, right? How does this actually play out in the real world? Like, how are these ideas being used in practice? I'm dying to know.
Well, that's where our second source comes in. We're moving from the research lab into the exciting world of pharmaceuticals.
Oh, yeah. Bring on the pharmaceuticals. Okay, so we've got this white paper, Smart Tools for FDA Regulatory Excellence. And it's all about how AI is changing the game for compliance in this very specific and kind of intense field.
And what's so fascinating is that they're dealing with the same challenges, right?
Right.
Huge amounts of information, this constant pressure to be accurate, and, this need to stay ahead of the curve.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But the haystack is made of FDA regulations, and the needle is constantly moving.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the paper really emphasizes the limitations of traditional search tools, like just relying on keywords and metadata. That's not enough when you're dealing with all the complexities of FDA regulations. You need something, smarter, something that can understand the nuances and the connections between all these different pieces of information. It's complicated.
Totally. It's like you need a tool that can actually think about the regulations, not just find documents that mention certain words.
Exactly, and that's where Smart Search Plus comes in. It's this incredible tool that does full-text searches, so it can look across all these critical FDA documents, not just the metadata.
So instead of getting lost in this maze of metadata, you can actually search for specific concepts and ideas within the documents themselves.
That's so cool. Yeah. And if you're searching for something like, let's say, labeling requirements, Smart Search Plus doesn't just find documents with that exact phrase. It actually digs up related regulations on, say, product information or warnings, because it understands the bigger picture. It uses something called tangential analysis to uncover all those connections and provide a much more comprehensive view of the regulatory landscape. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It's like it understands what you mean, not just what you say. That's incredible. But here's my question. Is Smart Search Plus all AI? Or are there actual humans involved in this process? Because, we were just talking about all those AI hallucinations, and it makes you wonder, how much can we really trust AI to handle something as important as FDA compliance?
That's a great question, and the paper actually addresses that directly. They actually advocate for what they call a dueling banjos approach. So it's about combining those AI insights with actual human expertise. It's like a partnership.
Dueling banjos. Okay, I'm intrigued. What does that even mean? Paint me a picture here.
All right, so imagine this. You got the AI, right? It's playing this fast-paced, insightful tune. It can scan through mountains of data and pull out key insights super quickly. But then you've got the human expert playing this more deliberate and nuanced melody. They're using Smart Search Plus to double-check everything, make sure nothing falls through the cracks, and ensure accuracy. It's like a musical collaboration.
So it's like a jam session where AI and humans are riffing off each other. That's such a cool way to think about it.
Exactly. The AI provides the raw talent, the speed, the ability to see patterns that humans might miss. But then the human brings the experience, the judgment, and the critical thinking skills to make sure those insights are accurate and actually useful.
I love that analogy. It makes this whole concept of human AI collaboration so much more vivid. But, I'm still curious about how this dueling banjos approach actually works in practice. Can you give me a specific example? What kind of task would this dynamic duo tackle in the world of FDA compliance?
Sure. Let's say a pharmaceutical company gets a warning letter from the FDA.
Uh-oh. Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. These letters often point out specific deficiencies in a company's practices, right? Like they're saying,
Hmm.
hey, you're doing something wrong. Fix it.
Right. So the FDA is basically saying, you're in trouble. Shape up. But it's not enough to just fix that one thing they pointed out, right?
Exactly. The FDA expects companies to investigate any potential ripple effects. It's not just about addressing the specific issue, it's about understanding the bigger picture and making sure there aren't other areas that might be impacted.
Okay, so it's like one small mistake could unravel a whole web of compliance issues. That sounds pretty intense.
It can be. And this is where Smart Search Plus and the AI really shine. The AI can quickly summarize the warning letter, highlight the key issues, and then Smart Search Plus can be used to explore all those related regulations and the company's own internal procedures. It's like having a detective and a researcher working side by side.
Oh, I like that. The detective points you in the right direction, and the researcher digs up all the evidence you need to build a solid case. I'm picturing Sherlock Holmes and Watson, but for FDA compliance.
Exactly. The AI helps you quickly understand the situation, and Smart Search Plus makes sure you have all the information you need to respond effectively and, make sure you're fully covered.
So you're saying this dueling banjos approach isn't just about making sure the AI is accurate, it's also about using AI to help humans be more thorough and efficient in their work. That's a really interesting point.
Absolutely. It's about using the best of both worlds, right? AI and human intelligence working together to achieve this level of accuracy and efficiency that you couldn't get with either one alone. It's pretty powerful stuff.
This is so fascinating. We've gone from AI hallucinations to dueling banjos in the world of FDA compliance. Who knew AI could be so multifaceted? But before we get too carried away,
Yes.
we need to take a closer look at this AI partner in the dueling banjos duo. What is this AI system and how does it actually work? Like, give me the nitty-gritty details.
Okay, good point. That's a great question. And it brings us to another key concept from the white paper, which is the AML Copilot. It's basically this super smart assistant that helps these pharmaceutical companies draft responses to regulatory inquiries. Yeah. And guess what?
Don't tell me.
It uses AI.
You got it. This Copilot uses the power of retrieval augmented generation to pull in relevant information from all these external sources, like those huge FDA databases, and even internal data, like a company's own SOPs, their standard operating procedures.
Wow, so it's not just accessing this giant library of regulations, it's also tapping into a company's own internal knowledge base. That's next level, like hyper-personalized regulatory advice.
Exactly. Think of it like this. You ask the Copilot, hey, what are the labeling requirements for this specific drug? It doesn't just scan all the FDA regulations. It also pulls up your company's own internal SOPs on labeling. So you get this super specific and accurate answer. No more generic responses.
That's incredible. It's like having this custom-tailored regulatory expert at your fingertips. But I have to ask.
Go ahead, shoot. Is this AI Copilot just spitting out pre-written responses, or is it actually generating something new and unique each time? Because that's a pretty big difference when it comes to actually being helpful.
That's a great question. And the answer is it's actually generating these unique responses based on this specific query and all the available data. It's not just copy-pasting from a template. It's really analyzing the information and putting it all together into this coherent and unique answer.
Okay, that is impressive. But I'm still a little wary. We started this whole conversation talking about AI making stuff up. How do we know this Copilot isn't going to hallucinate a bunch of regulatory nonsense?
That's where the dueling banjos approach comes back in. Yeah. Remember, the AI is only half of the equation. You've got that human expert there using Smart Search Plus to validate the Copilot's insights, double-checking the sources, and making sure the response is accurate and complete. They're the ones who really know what's going on, right?
Right. The human is still in control. They're like the conductor, and the AI is just a really talented musician in the orchestra. I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Exactly. It's a beautiful synergy of human and artificial intelligence working together. And to illustrate this even further, the white paper gives this really cool example of how Smart Search Plus and the FDA Copilot actually work together to enhance what they call regulatory intelligence.
Oh, I love a good example. Tell me more.
Okay, so remember how we were talking about FDA warning letters? And how the FDA expects companies to investigate not just the specific problems mentioned, but also any potential ripple effects? it can be a real headache.
Right. It's not just about fixing one problem. It's about making sure you haven't missed anything else. That's where things can get really tricky.
Yeah, exactly. It's this really complex web of regulations, and this is where Smart Search Plus and the AML Copilot really work their magic together.
Okay, so, walk me through it. How do they tackle this warning letter situation?
All right, so imagine this. The Copilot analyzes the warning letter really quickly and picks out the key issues. Then it uses our Edge to pull in all the relevant regulations and guidance documents from the FDA database, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's also accessing the company's internal SOPs and any other relevant internal documents.
Wow, so it's like a two-pronged attack. External regulations and internal procedures all pulled together. That's seriously impressive.
Right. And here's the best part. The Copilot doesn't just dump all this information on the human expert. It actually summarizes it into this nice, concise, actionable summary, highlighting all the key points and connections. It's like it does all the heavy lifting for you.
So it's like the Copilot is pre-digesting the information, making it easier for the human expert to quickly understand what's going on and make a decision. That would save so much time.
Exactly. And it frees up the human expert to focus on what they're really good at, applying their experience, using their judgment, and, using their critical thinking skills to develop a strategic response.
This is all starting to make sense. We've gone from this abstract idea of AI accuracy to this really practical application in the pharmaceutical industry. It's amazing how these different worlds connect. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
And to make it even more tangible, the white paper actually includes a visual. It's Figure 3, and it shows how integrating the Copilot with enterprise data just dramatically improves the efficiency and precision of these regulatory responses. It's a really powerful illustration of how AI is actually transforming this whole field. You should check it out.
Okay, I'm definitely going to check out that visual. It sounds like this white paper is packed with good stuff. But you know what I'm really struck by?
What's that?
This whole idea of human-AI collaboration. It keeps coming up, and it seems like such an important theme, not just in pharmaceuticals, but everywhere. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's not about replacing human expertise. It's about making it better. It's about augmenting it. It's about making us smarter, faster, more efficient.
Right. It's about using AI as a tool to enhance our own abilities, not to replace us altogether. And that's a really important message, I think, as we continue to, navigate this crazy world of AI that's constantly changing.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out to me from that white paper was how much they emphasized that dueling banjos approach.
Yeah.
It's not just about the AI being accurate on its own. It's about the AI helping humans to be more accurate.
Oh, for sure.
Which is a subtle difference, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think it's huge. It's like they're saying, hey, AI is really powerful, but it's not magic.
Right.
We still need humans in the loop to guide it and make sure that it's actually being used in a way that's, responsible and effective.
Exactly. It really highlights how the future of work is going to change.
Uh-huh.
It's not about AI replacing humans. It's about humans and AI working together.
Working together.
And each, using their own strengths to get better results,
Yeah, totally. It's like two heads are better than one.
But in this case, it's one human head and one super advanced silicon head.
A very advanced silicon head, yeah.
That's right. And it kind of makes me think about something.
Yeah.
We've been talking so much about Smart Search Plus and the AI Copilot.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember how all of that connects back to that rag check paper.
Oh, yeah.
Remember with those AI hallucinations and the relevancy scores and correctness scores and all that?
Yeah.
Feels like we've jumped to a whole other world.
I know. It's a lot to take in.
Right.
But, it's a good point. So remember, that rack check paper was all about evaluating the accuracy of these AI systems that use external knowledge, right?
Yeah, they wanted to make sure the AI is pulling in the right info and then that it's interpreting it correctly.
Right, exactly. Well, Smart Search Plus and the AI Copilot are real-world examples of those systems in action, They're both using this external knowledge, all those FDA databases, to generate insights and responses.
And that whole dueling banjos approach is basically a real-world way to implement those RS and CS scores.
Wait, I think I see what you mean.
Yeah.
The human expert is the relevancy score and the correctness score all rolled into one.
Exactly. The human is checking if the AI is using relevant info and then making sure that it's understanding that information correctly.
Right.
They're like the ultimate fact checker.
That's a really cool connection.
Yeah.
It's like the rag check paper is the blueprint, and then the pharmaceutical industry is actually building the house.
That's a great analogy. It really shows how these research concepts, they might seem abstract,
Yeah.
but they have these really practical applications out there in the world.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we've got this super powerful AI system that can access all of this information.
Right.
But we also have this human expert to keep it in check and make sure it doesn't go off the rails.
Right.
But, I'm wondering something, like, let's say I'm a pharmaceutical company and I'm thinking, wow, this AI co-pilot sounds amazing. It can do all this research for me. It can write responses. It can save me so much time.
Right.
What's to stop me from just letting the AI run wild?
Oh, that's a great question. And a lot of people are asking that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, why even bother with a human expert, right?
Well, I think it comes down to recognizing the limitations of AI.
Okay.
Like, it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's really good at certain things, like processing tons of data,
Yeah.
identifying patterns, and,
Yeah.
generating text and stuff.
Sure.
But it's not good at everything.
Okay, so what are some of the things that AI is not good at?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to something as complicated as like, FDA compliance and all that.
Well, one thing is common sense.
Mm.
AI just doesn't have it.
Right.
It can't really understand all the nuances of human language or the context or, those subtle cues that we pick up on without even thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, you can teach an AI all the rules of grammar.
But it's still going to struggle to understand, like, a joke.
Right, or sarcasm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be a big problem with regulatory compliance.
Right.
Because if you misinterpret a regulation, even slightly,
Yeah.
there could be some serious consequences.
Yeah, the FDA does not mess around.
No, they do not.
So you're saying that even if the AI has access to all this information, it could still, misinterpret something.
Totally.
Or miss a detail that a human would catch.
Absolutely. And another thing is, AI is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Oh, yeah.
So if the data is biased or it's incomplete or it's just outdated, the AI's output is going to reflect that.
So garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. And then, AI systems can be vulnerable to these things called adversarial attacks.
Adversarial attacks, what are those?
So that's where someone actually tries to, manipulate the AI or trick it into making a mistake.
Oh, wow. So you're saying, someone could intentionally try to fool this AI co-pilot.
Yeah, it is a concern, especially in something like pharmaceuticals where the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone tried to, get the AI to give out inaccurate information or draft a response that actually violates FDA regulations.
Okay, that is scary.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there are some real risks involved in just blindly trusting AI.
Oh, for sure. Even an AI is smart as his co-pilot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why that dueling banjos approach is so important. The human expert is like a safety net, making sure that the AI doesn't make a big mistake.
Okay.
They're bringing their experience, their judgment, and their critical thinking skills to make sure that the AI's output is actually accurate, reliable, and, follows the rules.
Yeah.
So it's like they're the guardrails for the AI.
So it's not about replacing human expertise.
Yeah.
It's about enhancing it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the big picture, the whole idea of human-AI collaboration.
Right, working together.
Yeah, it's about recognizing the strengths and weaknesses of both sides
And
then figuring out how to work together so that both sides benefit,
I like that. It's like a win-win situation.
Sure.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the pharmaceutical industry,
Right.
which makes sense because of our sources for this deep dive.
Hmm.
But I can't help but wonder, how is this whole human-AI collaboration thing playing out in other industries?
Oh, that's a great question.
Is it just a pharma thing, or is this like a bigger trend?
Oh, no, it's definitely happening all over the place.
Yeah.
Think about healthcare.
Okay.
AI is being used to analyze medical images,
Uh-huh.
figure out potential diagnoses,
Wow.
even recommend treatment plans.
Mm.
But doctors are still the ones making the final calls.
Right.
They're using their judgment and their experience to make sure the AI's insights actually make sense for the individual patient.
So it's like the AI is like this really powerful tool, but the doctor is still the one steering the ship.
Exactly. And you see it in finance, too.
Oh, yeah.
AI is being used to catch fraud, assess risk, make investment recommendations. But human financial advisors are still so important.
Right, because they're the ones building the relationship with the client.
Exactly. They understand their client's needs and goals, and they make sure that the AI's recommendations actually align with those goals.
So the AI might be really good at the technical side of things.
Yeah.
But it's the human who understands the emotional and personal side of it all.
Right. And even in education,
Oh, interesting.
you're seeing this with personalized learning platforms and things like, automated grading systems.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But teachers are still so important for creating those engaging learning experiences. They encourage critical thinking. They provide support for their students.
Right, and that's something that AI can't do.
Not yet. Anyway.
Not yet. Okay, so it seems like this pattern is repeating itself everywhere we look.
Yeah, it is.
AI handles the tasks it's good at,
Mm-hmm.
but humans are still the ones in charge,
Right.
providing the guidance, the judgment, the empathy,
Yeah.
all this stuff that AI just can't replicate.
Exactly. And I think that's really the main point here.
Yep.
As AI gets more advanced,
Yeah,
it's not about choosing between humans or AI.
okay, about both.
It's about figuring out how to make them work together
Together, yeah.
in a way that benefits everyone.
That's a really inspiring vision.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a bit more optimistic about the future of work,
Yeah, me too.
even as AI gets more and more, sophisticated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know what? This whole conversation about collaboration has got me thinking.
Oh, yeah. About what?
Well, we keep talking about the strengths of humans in AI, but I wonder, what are some of the potential challenges of this partnership?
Oh, interesting.
Like, what do we need to watch out for as we move towards this future where humans and AI are working together?
Yeah, good question. That's something that we haven't really touched on yet.
I know, right? Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is making sure that AI systems are developed and deployed responsibly.
Oh, okay.
Like, we need to make sure that they're fair, unbiased,
Right.
and that their decision-making processes are transparent, so we can understand how they're working.
Right. So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the values that are baked into that technology.
Exactly. We need to make sure that AI reflects the best parts of humanity,
Yeah.
not the worst parts.
I like that. It's like, we're teaching AI to be a good citizen.
Right. And then another challenge is are humans prepared to work with AI?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
We need to invest in education and training programs to give people the skills they need to understand AI, to interact with it, and to use it effectively in their work.
Right, because it's not just about teaching people how to use specific AI tools. It's about a deeper understanding of how AI actually works,
Yeah.
what its limitations are, and how to collaborate with it, right?
Exactly. And then I think we also need to have these open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of AI.
Yeah.
What are the risks? How do we avoid them? What are the impacts on society as a whole? These are big, tough questions.
Yeah, definitely not easy answers.
No, not at all. But we need to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And we need to engage with these issues in a thoughtful way and be proactive.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so it's not just about the technical side of AI. It's about the social and ethical implications, too.
All of it. It's about the big picture.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But, the future of AI is not already decided.
Yeah,
It's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
I love that. It's kind of empowering to think that we have a role to play in this whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's not something that's happening to us.
Right.
It's something that we're all creating together.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've only just begun to explore all the different facets of this whole AI thing.
Right.
We've talked about the accuracy challenges and RG and how these ideas are playing out in the real world and even the ethical stuff.
It's been a real deep dive.
It really has. But there's still so much more to explore. So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll wrap up our discussion and, leave you with some final food for thought.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Wow. Okay, so we have gone from the deepest depths of AI hallucinations all the way to the heights of human AI collaboration
I know, right?
with a little stop in the world of FDA compliance.
A little detour.
Yeah, a little detour. My brain is doing a happy dance right now, but
Yeah.
it's also sweating from all the mental exercise.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. How are you feeling?
Oh, my brain is definitely feeling invigorated.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating to see how all these different things are connected,
Yeah.
how these research concepts that we were talking about actually turn into these real-world applications.
Right.
And how we're always trying to figure out this relationship between humans and AI.
It really is a constantly evolving relationship.
It is.
And it's so complex. But, with all this talk about AI and how it's going to change everything, it's easy to get lost in the big picture.
Right.
So I want to bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
what about the person listening to this right now?
Yeah, what about them?
What can they take away from all of this? What should they be thinking about as they, encounter AI in their own lives?
That's a great question. I think the most important thing is awareness.
Okay, awareness.
Like, realize that a lot of the AI systems that you use every day, like those chatbots on websites,
Yeah.
or the algorithms that decide what you see on social media,
Right, right.
they're probably using art in some way.
So they're pulling in info from all over the place.
Exactly. And that means you have to be careful about how much you trust those sources,
Yeah, so don't just take everything the AI tells you at face value.
Right.
Ask questions. See if the information is actually, backed up by something real.
It's like that old saying, trust but verify.
Yes. Critical thinking is the name of the game now more than ever.
Absolutely. And remember, AI is a tool. It's not a replacement for, good old-fashioned human judgment.
It can be powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to use it in a way that's responsible, ethical.
We have to be thoughtful about it.
So to all of our amazing listeners out there, here's our challenge to you. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI. But as you do all of that, remember that the future of AI is really just a reflection of all the choices that we make today. So choose wisely.
And until next time, happy diving.